The elevator doors slid shut behind us with a soft metallic click, cutting off the last echoes of laughter from the wedding hall downstairs. For the first time all day, it was quiet. Just me and him, my new husband, standing in the warm golden light of the condo foyer. Our new home. At least, that's what my mother, Susan Carter, had been drilling into my head for the last 3 months. I stepped out of my pearl-white heels and let my throbbing feet touch the cool hardwood floor. Hours of posing, smiling, pretending, it all weighed heavily on me. I should have been excited, this was my wedding night, but instead, I felt a strange emptiness settling into my chest. Lucas Ellington, my husband, loosened the collar of his tailored suit. At 38, with his sharp features, calm gaze, and air of maturity, he looked like someone who always knew exactly what to do. Someone who had everything under control. Someone who couldn't speak. Or so I had been told. For 6 months, Lucas communicated through written notes and practiced hand gestures. His handwriting was elegant and precise, almost too perfect. He had always carried a small notebook in his jacket pocket, ready to talk at any moment. I had grown strangely fond of that quiet rhythm between us. My mother insisted it didn't matter that he was mute. "Sweetheart, stability is more important than romance," she'd say. She pushed this marriage harder than she ever pushed anything. And worn down from loneliness and obligation, I eventually agreed. I turned toward Lucas now, ready to sign a simple question. "Would you like some tea?" But before I lifted my hands, Lucas looked directly at me and spoke. "Maya, please don't panic. We need to talk." I froze. His voice was deep. Smooth. Completely normal. My heart slammed violently against my ribs. The room tilted for a moment, and I had to grab the edge of the console table just to steady myself. I stared at him, shocked, confused, terrified. Lucas spoke again, slower this time. "I didn't want to do this tonight, but you deserve the truth." "Truth? Truth about what?" My pulse hammered through my ears. My breath shook. My mind scrambled for logic, but nothing made sense. The man I married, believing he was mute, was speaking to me as easily as anyone else. A lie. A lie. I had walked straight into wearing a white dress and a forced smile. I backed away from him instinctively, words caught in my throat. I didn't scream. I didn't ask questions. I just rushed into the bathroom, slammed the door, and locked it with trembling hands. Inside, I slid down to the cold tile floor, staring at my own reflection, my smeared mascara, blotchy cheeks, and the expensive dress my mother insisted I wear. I looked less like a bride and more like someone waking up from a nightmare. Lucas knocked softly. "Maya, please, let me explain. I didn't lie to hurt you." I pressed my forehead against my knees, tears pooling in my eyes. Why would he pretend? Why would my mother approve a man hiding something so huge? I forced myself to breathe through the chaos. My reflection stared back at me, broken, confused, betrayed. This wasn't the beginning of a marriage. This was the unraveling of one. When I finally opened the bathroom door, ready to demand answers, Lucas looked me dead in the eyes and said something that made my blood run cold. "Your mother asked me to keep the truth from you." When I finally turned the bathroom doorknob, my hands were still trembling. I had washed my face twice, but the redness around my eyes betrayed the storm inside me. Lucas was standing in the hallway, leaning his shoulder against the wall as if he hadn't moved since I'd shut myself inside. His tie was now off, his sleeves pushed up, and for the first time since I met him, he looked uneasy. Not calm. Not composed. Human. He straightened when he saw me, taking a cautious step forward. "Maya," he said softly, "I know this is overwhelming. But you need to hear everything before you decide what to do next." Every muscle in my body tensed. "Start talking," I said, my voice flat. "And don't leave anything out." He nodded, exhaling slowly, as if preparing for surgery. "Your mother." "Susan, she asked me to keep my condition quiet." I swallowed hard. "Condition? You're not mute." He hesitated. No. But I did lose my voice temporarily a few years back. Stress-related paralysis. I recovered, mostly. But your mother believed. My mother believed what? I snapped. That lying was the best way to introduce us? He rubbed the back of his neck. A gesture I'd never seen before. She thought you wouldn't give me a chance if you knew the full story up front. She worried you'd walk away. A bitter laugh escaped me before I could stop it. My mother has always worried I'd walk away from everything she handpicks. Lucas lowered his eyes. She told me you were lonely. That you'd been hurt before. That you lost trust in people. My jaw clenched. Did she tell you I wanted honesty? That's the one thing I asked from everyone in my life? He didn't answer. Which was answer enough. I took a step back, suddenly needing distance. You and my mother decided I needed to be managed. Protected from the truth. Maya, no. Then explain it, I demanded. He inhaled slowly, steadying himself, then began. 2 years ago, I went through a bad break. Worse than I've ever told anyone. My wife, Chloe, she cheated on me. Then she left. The stress was so severe I stopped speaking. Literally. My vocal cords froze. Doctors said it wasn't physical, it was emotional trauma. I blinked. I didn't expect that. At all. He continued, voice thickening. I spent months in therapy. My speech came back gradually. But I was terrified of using it. Terrified that my voice, the thing Chloe always said she hated because it was too serious, would push away the next woman too. He paused, then met my eyes. When your mother told me about you, she said you were gentle. Patient. Someone who wouldn't judge the man behind the silence. My breath stilled. So you pretended, for me? No, he whispered. I pretended because I was afraid. But your mother believed it was the right way to ease you into my life. My stomach twisted. She may have meant well. But you should have told me the truth. I know, he said. And I regret it more than you know. The room fell silent, heavy with things we couldn't take back. Then he added something that made my blood run cold. Maya, your mother didn't just encourage the lie. She orchestrated all of it. From the setup, to the timing, even to the stories she told you about me. I stared at him. What stories? He swallowed hard. The ones she made me promise never to reveal. I stepped back, heart pounding, as Lucas said the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. Maya, your mother hid something from you. Something about your father. The moment Lucas mentioned my father, the air inside the condo seemed to thicken. The hallway felt smaller, the walls closer, as if the entire world was leaning in to hear his next words. My father? I repeated, barely above a whisper. What does my mother have to do with him? Lucas's expression shifted, gentle, cautious, but undeniably pained. I don't want to hurt you, Maya. But you deserve to know the truth. I crossed my arms, trying to steady myself. My father died when I was 9. There's nothing left to know. But Lucas shook his head slowly. That's not entirely true. My stomach dropped. Stop, I said sharply. If you're repeating some rumor or misunderstanding. No, he interrupted, voice firm yet soft. Your mother told me herself. She just didn't know I'd eventually tell you. My heartbeat thudded against my ears. Lucas. Say it. He ran a hand through his hair, as if searching for the gentlest way to set off a grenade. Your father didn't die in an accident, he said quietly. He disappeared. Voluntarily. The world tilted. I felt the floor sway under my feet. No, I whispered. That's impossible. My mother showed me the police reports. The newspaper article. The funeral. Your mother controlled every document you saw, Lucas said. She created the story. To protect you. Or, to protect herself. I staggered back, hitting the wall behind me. The breath rushed out of my lungs. What are you talking about? Why would she fake his death? Why would she lie to her own daughter? Lucas stepped closer but stopped when he saw me tense. Because, he said, your father didn't just disappear, he walked away from your mother. And she couldn't let you think he chose to leave. My vision blurred. Heat pricked behind my eyes. My father loved me, I choked. He never would've. I know, Lucas said softly. And that's why she lied. She wanted you to believe he had no choice. That it wasn't about you. I shook my head, pressing both hands to my temples. This doesn't make sense. My mother wouldn't, she couldn't. She did, Lucas said. And she wasn't alone in doing it. I froze. What does that mean? Lucas hesitated, the weight of his next confession settling across his shoulders. Maya. I knew your father. My breath caught midair. Knew? I repeated. What do you mean you knew him? He died when I was a child. He didn't die, Lucas repeated firmly. He moved away. Started over. And for a while. I worked with him. My knees nearly buckled. Worked with him? Lucas nodded. He was a consultant for my company. I didn't know who he was at first. But when he realized your mother was trying to arrange my marriage with you, he panicked. He quit abruptly. Told me never to mention his name to anyone. Especially not to you. Tears spilled over before I could stop them. You knew this before we got married? I whispered. A heavy silence fell. Yes, he admitted. But your mother, Susan, begged me not to tell you. She said it would destroy you. My whole body trembled. Rage, grief, betrayal, every emotion twisted inside me like barbed wire. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. So my father is alive. My mother lied. And you, my husband, helped her hide it? Lucas's voice broke. I was wrong. And I'm sorry, Maya. But there's more you need to hear. I stiffened. What more? He took a slow, sharp breath. Your father left something behind for you. A message. A warning. And your mother has been hiding it for years. My heart pounded as Lucas reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, folded envelope with my name on it, handwritten in the one familiar handwriting I never thought I'd see again. Maya, this is from your father. The envelope in Lucas's hand felt like it was radiating heat, like it contained a truth too alive, too dangerous, too heavy to touch. My name, written in a familiar looping handwriting, stared back at me as if it had been waiting all these years to be opened. I didn't reach for it. I couldn't. Where did you get this? I whispered. Lucas held the envelope gently, almost respectfully. Your father gave it to me the day he left the company. He said, when the time is right, make sure Maya gets this. Not Susan. Maya. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. He knew my mother would hide it, I murmured. Yes, Lucas replied quietly. He suspected she'd do everything in her power to control the narrative. My pulse quickened. This letter. How long have you had it? Lucas exhaled. Almost 6 months. 6 months. 6 months of marriage arrangements, meetings, decisions, 6 months of lies. You should have given it to me the moment you got it, I said, my voice cracking. I know, Lucas said, guilt thick in his tone. But your mother. Stop, I snapped. Stop using my mother as the reason you hid truth after truth. He fell silent, eyes dropping to the floor. I took the envelope with shaking hands. The paper was slightly worn, edges soft, like it had been opened and closed many times by someone undecided or terrified. My father. Alive. Writing to me. I slid my thumb under the flap and unfolded the letter slowly, afraid the words might crush me. The handwriting hit me first, messy, urgent, emotional. And then the opening lines. Maya, if you're reading this, it means the lie finally broke. My breath caught. You deserve to know why I left. The truth isn't simple, and it wasn't about you. Never about you. Tears blurred my vision. Your mother and I, we fell apart in ways a child should never see. I walked away because staying would've destroyed the person I wanted to be for you. But Susan could never accept that. She needed control more than truth. My throat tightened painfully. She told you I died. She hid the truth not just from you, but from me. I reached out, Maya. I tried. And every time, she shut the door before I could walk through it. My hand flew to my mouth. A sob escaped. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I lost the right to that. I'm writing so you know I never abandoned you. I was kept away. The last line hit hardest. If you ever want to find me, follow the truth, not your mother's version of it. The letter slipped from my fingers and fluttered to the floor. My knees buckled, and I sank onto the couch. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. Lucas knelt in front of me. Maya, please say something. I don't know how to feel, I whispered. My whole childhood, everything I believed, rewritten in minutes. He reached out but didn't touch me. There's more. I shook my head violently. Lucas, I can't take more. You have to, he said, eyes filled with dread. Your father didn't just write a letter. He left something else behind. Something your mother never wanted you to see. My stomach twisted into knots. What is it? Lucas stood slowly, walked to the coat closet, and pulled out a small, locked metal box. He placed it on the table between us. This belonged to your father, he said. And I think, inside it is the real reason your mother wanted him gone. I stared at the metal box, its lock rusted, its weight undeniable, knowing whatever was inside could shatter what little trust one had left. As I reached for it, Lucas said quietly. Maya, before you open it, you need to know something. Your mother isn't the only one who kept secrets. The metal box sat heavy on the coffee table, its dull silver surface catching the soft glow of the hallway light. It felt like the entire room was holding its breath, waiting to see what would spill out of it. I wiped my face with shaking hands. Lucas, I whispered, what do you mean you're not the only one who kept secrets? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped back, running both hands through his hair, the second time I'd seen him do that since our marriage. A gesture of panic. A gesture of guilt. Maya, before you open that box, I need to tell you something important. Something I should have said before we ever stood at that altar. Every muscle in my body tensed. Lucas, please. Stop dragging this out. He swallowed hard. When I first met your father, he didn't just work with me. He warned me. Warned you? I whispered. About what? His voice tightened. About marrying into your family. My blood ran cold. What? My voice cracked. Why? Because, Lucas said quietly, your mother. Susan, did the same thing to him. I stiffened. What are you talking about? Lucas exhaled shakily, his gaze dropping to the floor. Your mother controlled him. Manipulated him. Made decisions for him. Told him who he could meet, who he could talk to, what he could do. She planned his life for him. He didn't disappear, Maya, he escaped. My heartbeat thudded painfully. No, my mother isn't like that. Lucas looked up at me slowly. She did the same thing to us, Maya. She manipulated our marriage. She hid truths from both sides. And I let her. I sank deeper into the couch, my mind spinning in impossible circles. What does this have to do with the box? I whispered. Lucas hesitated. When your father left the company, he handed me that box. He said, if she ever gets serious about marrying you to Maya, give her this. I blinked. She? He meant my mother? Lucas nodded. He said this box contained evidence of what Susan did before he left. Things he discovered. Things he tried to confront her about. A chill crawled across my skin. My father. My mother. Evidence. What kind of evidence? I asked. Lucas's voice was barely audible. Proof that your mother sabotaged every attempt he made to reach you. The room narrowed around me. You're lying, I whispered, though the tremor in my voice betrayed the doubt already creeping in. I wish I were, Lucas said. Because there's something else. I looked up at him sharply. What now? Lucas inhaled deeply, bracing himself. Your father didn't just leave behind this box. He left behind instructions. Instructions? I repeated. For you, he said. And for me. My eyes widened. For you? Why would he leave instructions for you? Because, Lucas said, he didn't trust Susan. He told me if she ever pushed you into a marriage you didn't choose, if she ever tried to shape your future the way she shaped your childhood, I needed to protect you. I stared at him, stunned. You knew all this. And you still married me? His face crumpled with guilt. I thought I could protect you better from inside your life than from outside it. The hollow silence that followed was crushing. My gaze drifted back to the metal box. The lock looked fragile, old, almost ready to break with the slightest effort. Give me the key, I said firmly. Lucas reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, rusted key. But before handing it over, he hesitated. Maya, he whispered, whatever's inside, it might change the way you see everything. Your mother. Your past. Even yourself. I don't care, I said, reaching out. Give it to me. He placed the key in my palm. My heart pounded as I leaned forward, slid the key into the lock, and twisted. A soft click echoed through the silent room. I lifted the lid slowly. And gasped. Inside the box wasn't just one secret, it was 3 separate envelopes, each labeled with names I never expected to see. Maya. Lucas. And one more. Chloe Miller. My breath hitched as I stared at the contents of the metal box, not papers, not documents, but 3 sealed envelopes. Each perfectly labeled in my father's hurried handwriting. Maya. Lucas. Chloe Miller. My name I understood. Lucas's name, fine. But Chloe? His ex-wife? Why would my father know her? Why would he write to her at all? My hands trembled as I lifted the envelope with my name. Lucas watched me carefully, standing a few feet away like the air around us had turned explosive. Maya, he whispered, before you open anything, please, let me explain what I know. I shook my head. No. No more preparing me. No more half-truths. No more delays. I placed all 3 envelopes on the table in a line. Explain why my father has a message for your ex-wife. Lucas's jaw tightened. His voice dropped to a painful whisper. Because Chloe was the one who discovered what your mother hid first. A cold wave washed over me. What? I breathed. He nodded slowly. Before Chloe and I started falling apart, she found something. Something that involved your family. I didn't know the details. She kept it secret. But then she confronted your mother. My stomach twisted violently. My mother? Chloe met my mother? Yes, Lucas said. And after that meeting, Chloe changed. My pulse spiked. Changed how? Lucas's expression darkened with guilt. She started seeing someone else. She distanced herself from me. She said being near me made her feel unsafe. My eyes widened. But what does any of that have to do with my father? I asked. Lucas hesitated. When your father realized Chloe had dug into things she wasn't supposed to see, he reached out to her. I felt the room tilt. So they knew each other. Yes, Lucas whispered. And from what he told me, he tried to warn her. Just like he warned me. My voice cracked. Warned her about what? Lucas didn't answer. He just stared at the envelope with Chloe's name as if it might burst open and confess everything without him saying a word. I took a shaky step back from the table. Lucas, what exactly did my mother do? What is everyone afraid to tell me? He looked at me with a mixture of fear and sorrow. Your mother has a pattern, he said. She destroys anything, or anyone, she can't control. A chill spread across my skin. Before I could speak, my phone buzzed violently on the counter. I grabbed it automatically. Mom, one missed call, Mom, one new message. I opened the text. Maya, I need to see you now. Do not open anything from your father. I'm coming over. A cold pit formed in my stomach. Lucas stepped forward. She knows. She must have seen the box was missing from her storage. I stared at the envelopes. My father. Lucas. Chloe. All writing warnings. All fearing the same woman. Maya, Lucas said gently, we don't have much time. What does she think I'll find? I whispered. Lucas didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before, not guilt, not fear, but something deeper. Maya, he said softly, before your mother gets here, you need to open the envelope with your name. My heart pounded uncontrollably. Slowly, hesitantly, I picked up the envelope labeled Maya. The paper felt heavier than before. Alive. Dangerous. I slid my thumb under the flap, tears pricking my eyes. And just as I began to pull the letter out, there was a fierce, desperate pounding on the front door. Bang. 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 Maya, my mother's voice shrieked from the hallway. Open this door right now. My hands shook violently as my mother's voice filled the hallway, angry, frantic, desperate. But Lucas whispered something that made my blood run cold. Maya, she's not here to talk. The pounding on the door grew louder, sharper, each strike sending vibrations through the hardwood floor beneath my feet. Bang. 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 Maya, my mother's voice cracked with something I couldn't quite place, fear wrapped in anger. Open this door. We need to talk. Now. Lucas stepped closer, lowering his voice. She's panicking because she knows what's inside that envelope. I clutched the letter in my trembling hands. Should I open the door? No, Lucas said immediately. Not until you read that. Your father wanted you to have this moment. Not her. My breathing grew shallow. She's my mother. And she's hiding something that could break you, Lucas replied. Maya, please. Just read it. My mother's voice tore through the air again, louder this time. Maya Carter, do not make me come in there. I squeezed my eyes shut. For the first time in my life, I didn't want to face her. I unfolded the letter. My father's handwriting spilled across the paper, messy, anxious, uneven. As if he wrote it in a hurry. Or in fear. Maya, if you've reached this letter, it means Susan has begun the same pattern with you that she once used on me. My throat tightened. You need to understand something, my daughter, your mother doesn't want to hurt you. She wants to own you. My chest constricted painfully. She controls through fear, guilt, and silence. She controlled me for years. When I tried to leave with you, when I tried to take you out of that house, she made sure I couldn't. The words blurred, I blinked rapidly. She told you I abandoned you. But Maya, she kept me from you. Tears streamed down my face. I thought I could fight her. I thought I could expose her. But every time, she was one step ahead. She controlled the narrative. The neighbors. The police. Even the therapist she forced us to see. I felt sick. My father continued. When I tried to contact you after leaving, she intercepted everything, every letter, every email, every attempt to reconnect. A sob rose in my throat. I was powerless. Until I found evidence, proof of the lengths she would go to in order to keep you under her control. My eyes darted to the box. The other envelopes. The one addressed to Lucas. The one addressed to Chloe. This was bigger than Lucas's guilt. Bigger than my father's disappearance. Maya, if you're reading this, I need you to do one thing: do not trust her. Not until you know everything she hid. My mother's voice suddenly pierced the condo again. Maya. Open the door right now, or I swear I will. Her sentence broke off into a choked sound. Lucas stiffened. She's trying the spare key. My heart jumped. How does she have a key? This is your condo. Lucas's jaw clenched. Because she insisted on having one for emergencies. I didn't think she'd actually use it. I wiped tears with the back of my hand. Lucas, what does your envelope say? He swallowed. Hard. I don't know. I never opened it. My pulse hammered. And Chloe's? I whispered. Lucas looked at the unopened envelope labeled with his ex-wife's name. That one scares me the most. The metallic rattle of a key scraping against the lock made both of us jerk our heads toward the door. Lucas grabbed my arm gently. Maya, we need to hide those letters. Right now. Before I could move, my phone buzzed violently again. Mom, 3 new messages. The newest one made my breath freeze. Maya, if you read anything he left behind, you're in danger. Please, baby. I'm begging you. Open the door. Danger? From who? My mother's voice broke through the door again, this time trembling. Maya, please. He didn't just leave letters. He left enemies. The lock clicked. Someone was coming in. As the door slowly opened and a shadow stepped inside, Lucas whispered. Maya, that's not your mother. The front door creaked open with agonizing slowness, letting in a soft draft of cold night air. Lucas stepped in front of me instinctively, one protective arm stretched out. My heart slammed against my ribs. That's not your mother, he whispered, his voice trembling with an urgency I had never heard before. A tall figure stepped inside. The hallway light caught his face. Brown leather jacket. Sharp, tired eyes. A long scar across his jaw. Not my mother. Not anyone I recognized. His gaze landed on Lucas, then shifted to the box on the coffee table. A knowing, chilling kind of recognition flashed across his eyes. Maya Carter, he said, voice low. I felt my legs weaken. Who are you? Lucas demanded, stepping forward. The man ignored him, his eyes fixed on me. I've been looking for you for a long time. My throat closed. For what? I whispered. The man let out a slow, heavy breath. To finish what your father started. Lucas moved even closer to me. You have 10 seconds to explain what you're doing here. But the stranger remained calm, almost eerily calm. I'm not here to hurt her, he said. If I wanted to, I wouldn't have knocked. The words sent a shiver up my spine. He continued. Your father trusted me. I was one of the few people he confided in after he left Susan. He knew my mother's name. He said it casually, like it was a loaded weapon he'd held before. My voice trembled. You knew my father? He nodded solemnly. I worked with him. I helped him disappear. The room spun. Lucas's jaw tightened. Why now? Why show up today? The man's eyes shifted to the metal box. Because she opened it, he said quietly. He told me that the moment Maya opened that box, her mother would panic, and the people watching Susan would make their move. A sharp, cold panic ripped through me. People watching, my mother? I whispered. What does that even mean? The man took a slow step closer. Your father didn't just walk away from Susan, he said. He walked away from the people she was connected to. Lucas turned pale. What kind of people? The stranger's expression hardened. The kind that don't like loose ends. My knees buckled. Lucas steadied me with a hand on my shoulder. My mother, I stammered. She's involved with dangerous people? The man hesitated. Your mother was deep in something she couldn't control. Your father found out. He tried to expose it. That's why he left. A lump formed in my throat. But what does Chloe have to do with any of this? I whispered. For the first time, the stranger's calm demeanor cracked. He stared at the envelope labeled Chloe Miller. That, he said slowly, is the reason she left Lucas. Lucas froze. My ex-wife? What does she? The man raised a hand, stopping him. She found out the truth before anyone else. She uncovered something your mother hid for years. Something that tied all of you together. I felt sick. It's in her envelope, isn't it? He nodded once. Lucas reached for Chloe's envelope with trembling fingers. Wait, the stranger said sharply. If you open it, you need to be prepared for what's inside. What could possibly be worse than everything we already know? I whispered. The man looked directly into my eyes. Maya, that envelope contains the name of the person responsible for making your father disappear. My breath caught. It wasn't just Susan, he said quietly. Lucas's hand jerked back from the envelope. My pulse raced. Then who was it? I whispered. Before the man could answer, footsteps echoed loudly from the hallway, quick, desperate, running. My mother's voice cried out. Maya, don't listen to him. And then. Glass shattered. Someone else had entered the building. As the condo filled with panicked footsteps and clashing voices, the stranger whispered to me. Maya, your father's disappearance wasn't an accident. It was a betrayal. Glass shattered somewhere near the kitchen, a sharp, violent crash that made my entire body flinch. Lucas immediately grabbed my arm and pulled me behind him, shielding me as the stranger turned toward the sound, tension tightening every line of his face. My mother's voice echoed from the hallway, strained with panic. Maya, stay away from him. He's lying to you. But the stranger didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't even look in her direction. Instead, he spoke with terrifying calm. Of course she'd say that. Susan's been lying for 20 years. Another burst of footsteps, fast, heavy. Not my mother. Someone else. Lucas whispered urgently, Maya, we need to get away from the door. But my legs were frozen. My eyes locked on the stranger. You said my father's disappearance was a betrayal, I managed to whisper. By who? By my mother? He hesitated, just for a moment, and that moment felt like a lifetime. It wasn't only her, he said. There were two people involved. Two. My thoughts raced. My mother. And who else? Chloe? Someone from my father's past? Someone from Lucas's life? Or? A horrifying thought stabbed through me. I turned slowly toward Lucas. His face had gone pale. Lucas, I whispered. What aren't you telling me? He opened his mouth, but before he could answer, the front door flew open so hard it slammed against the wall. My mother stumbled inside, breathless, hair disheveled, eyes wild with terror, not anger this time. Terror. Maya. Step away from him, she cried, pointing at the stranger. The stranger scoffed. Still playing the victim, Susan? My mother's voice cracked. You don't understand, this is bigger than you. Lucas stepped forward. Susan, what's going on? Who broke the glass? But my mother didn't answer. Her eyes darted to the metal box. Then to the open envelope in my hand. Then to the two other envelopes still sealed on the table. No, she gasped. You opened it. Maya, you weren't supposed to. Enough, I snapped. My voice was shaking, but strong. Mom, what did you do? What did Dad mean when he said you kept me from him? Why was Chloe involved? And who betrayed him? My mother swallowed hard. Her eyes glistened, not with sadness, but with an emotion I'd never seen on her face before. Fear. The stranger stepped closer. Tell her, Susan. Before I do. She shook her head, backing away. No, not like this. Maya, baby, listen to me. Tell me the truth, I demanded. Her voice broke. Your father didn't leave us, Maya, she whispered. He didn't walk away. Someone made him disappear. My entire body went numb. Who? My mother looked at Lucas. Then at the stranger. Then at me. And finally, she whispered. He was betrayed by the person he trusted most. I froze. Who? I whispered again, barely breathing. At the exact same moment, two voices answered. Chloe. My mother. Lucas. The stranger. My heart stopped. I whipped around, staring at Lucas. No, no. Tell me that's not true. Tell me you didn't. His jaw clenched. His eyes dropped. And the silence that followed was louder than any confession. Before I could speak, another figure stepped out from the shadow near the kitchen, a woman. Long brown hair. Sharp eyes. A trembling hand clutching a phone. Chloe Miller. Lucas's ex-wife. Alive. Terrified. And staring straight at me. Maya, she whispered, voice cracking, don't trust either of them. Chloe steps fully into the light, shaking, pale, her voice barely a whisper. I know who destroyed your family, because they tried to destroy mine too. Chloe stepped fully into the living room, her hands shaking, her face pale as if she'd seen a ghost. She glanced at Lucas, then at my mother, then at the stranger, each look layered with a different kind of fear. Lucas inhaled sharply. Chloe, what are you doing here? She lifted a trembling hand. Don't come any closer. I had never seen Lucas freeze like that before. Not even when my mother stormed in. Not even when the stranger entered. Chloe looked at me, her eyes filled with guilt. Maya, she whispered, you don't know the whole story. And you won't, unless you understand why I left Lucas. Lucas's jaw clenched. Chloe, not here. Not like this. But Chloe shook her head violently. No. This time I'm telling the truth. All of it. Because if I don't, someone in this room won't make it out tonight. My breath hitched. What does that mean? I whispered. The stranger took a slow step closer, watching Chloe carefully. Tell her. Before they twist the story again. Chloe's gaze flicked toward my mother. Susan stiffened. Don't you dare. But Chloe's voice only grew stronger, steadier. When Lucas and I started having problems, she said, I thought it was my fault. I thought he was just pulling away. I thought I wasn't enough. Lucas's face looked carved from stone. But I was wrong, Chloe continued. Because the real problem wasn't him. She turned toward my mother. It was her. My mother's breath caught. Maya, don't listen. Chloe cut her off. Your mother hired someone to follow me. To threaten me. To make sure I stayed quiet. My entire world seemed to tilt sideways. What? I gasped. Susan shook her head rapidly. Don't listen to her, she's unstable, Maya, she. Save it, Chloe snapped, her voice trembling but fierce. Your mother didn't just interfere in your father's life. She interfered in mine. When I started uncovering what she did to him, why he really left, she panicked. She rubbed her wrist subconsciously, as if remembering something physical. She told me I'd ruin everything. That Lucas needed someone calm, someone she could work with. She warned me to stay away. My stomach twisted into a painful knot. She told me, Chloe said, voice dropping, that if I didn't leave Lucas, she would ruin me. Financially. Professionally. Personally. She had documents, contacts, everything ready. Lucas looked horrified. Chloe, why didn't you ever tell me that? Because, she said, her eyes flicking to the stranger, your mother wasn't working alone. The stranger nodded slowly. She wasn't. My pulse hammered. Then who? I whispered. Who else was involved? Chloe swallowed hard. He was, she said, pointing to the stranger. He used to work for her. He knows everything she did. The stranger didn't deny it. He simply said. And I left when I realized what she was capable of. My knees felt weak. Mom, is this true? Did you threaten her? My mother's face collapsed into something broken, wounded, desperate. Maya, I did everything to protect you. Everything. Protect me? I repeated. Or control me? Her lips trembled. I was trying to protect our family, she whispered. My father's words from the letter rang in my ears. She wants to own you, not protect you. Before I could respond, Chloe stepped closer, her voice trembling. Maya, the person who made your father disappear, wasn't Lucas. And it wasn't me. I swallowed, barely breathing. Then who was it? I whispered. Chloe's eyes filled with tears as she looked straight at me. It was the person standing behind you. I froze. Cold terror shot down my spine. Slowly, terrified, I turned around. And saw another figure standing in the doorway of the hallway, someone I hadn't expected. Someone whose face twisted everything I knew. The figure stepped into the light, expression unreadable, voice calm. Maya, we need to talk about what your father left behind. The figure stepped out of the dim hallway, the shadows peeling away from her face like a curtain being drawn back. Jenna Reed. My best friend. My confidant. The one person who had been by my side through every breakdown, every heartbreak, every moment of confusion. My mind refused to believe what I was seeing. Jenna? I whispered, my voice cracking. What are you doing here? Lucas stiffened. The stranger's expression turned cold. Chloe went pale. But my mother didn't look shocked. She just lowered her eyes, jaw clenched tight, as if she knew this moment was coming. Jenna stepped forward, her eyes soft, almost sorrowful. Maya, she said gently, I didn't want it to happen this way. I took a shaky step back. Why are you here? How did you even get in? She held up a spare key, one that looked frighteningly familiar. Your mother gave it to me, Jenna said quietly. She wanted someone to check on you. To keep an eye on you. My stomach twisted. You were working with her? I whispered. All this time? Her eyes flickered, guilt, fear, resignation. Not in the beginning, Jenna said. At first, I was just your friend. But then your mother told me your father was dangerous. That he'd abandoned you. That if he ever came back, he'd try to manipulate you. Her voice cracked. And I believed her. I trusted her. And I shouldn't have. The stranger scoffed. You didn't just believe her. You helped her. You watched her bury information that didn't fit the story she wanted. Jenna's jaw tightened. I didn't know the whole truth. But you knew enough, the stranger shot back. You knew she intercepted letters. You knew she blocked calls. You knew she sent men to warn Chloe. Jenna flinched as if struck. Maya, I swear, I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you from someone unpredictable. I felt like I was drowning. You're the one who told me my father didn't deserve another thought, I whispered. You're the one who told me Lucas was a safe choice. You encouraged the engagement. You told me to trust my mother. Jenna's eyes filled with tears. Because she told me it was the only way to keep you away from danger. My voice shook with disbelief. Danger from who? Jenna swallowed hard, then looked directly at my mother. From her, Jenna said, her voice barely above a whisper. She told me if you ever dug into your past, if you ever tried to find your father, you'd get hurt. And I believed her. I let her use me. My mother's face tightened. Maya, she was trying to help. You have no idea what your father got himself into. The stranger stepped forward, eyes narrowing. No, Susan. You got him into it. You used your husband, your daughter, and this girl, he gestured at Jenna, to protect yourself. Jenna wiped a tear. It wasn't just her. The room fell silent. Everyone froze. Then Jenna's voice trembled as she said. Maya, your father wasn't the only one betrayed. I was too. My chest tightened. By who? She hesitated, then turned her gaze toward Lucas, slowly, painfully. By him, she whispered. Lucas's face drained of color. Maya, he said quickly, listen to me. But Jenna held up her hand. Don't lie to her. Not now. Not with everything that's already happened. My pulse surged. What did he do? I demanded. Jenna's eyes filled with something between regret and horror. Lucas knew Susan was hiding things. He knew your father tried to reach you. He knew about the threats. And he still went along with the marriage. Because he had something to lose if he didn't. Lucas's eyes closed briefly, like the truth was a wound he hoped would never reopen. Maya. I can't explain. But Jenna cut him off, her voice trembling. Your father disappeared because of a deal gone wrong. A deal that Lucas was part of. The world fell out from under me. I stared at Lucas, my husband, my silent partner, and suddenly I didn't recognize him at all. Lucas finally lifted his head, eyes filled with a haunting truth. Maya, your father trusted me. And I failed him. For the first time since this nightmare began, the room fell silent. Lucas stood motionless, his posture frozen, eyes dark with something I couldn't read anymore. He looked smaller than I had ever seen him, like the truth had stripped away the calm, controlled man I thought I knew. I wiped my face with trembling hands. Lucas, I whispered. What deal? What did you do? He swallowed, voice cracking at the edges. It started before I ever met you, he said. Years ago. I didn't know who your father was back then. I didn't know anything about your family. The stranger crossed his arms. Tell her the rest. Lucas inhaled shakily. Your father was consulting for my company. He discovered something of financial inconsistencies, money being funneled into places it shouldn't have been. My heart thudded loudly. I didn't handle all the finances, he continued. But someone on my team did. Someone with connections. Someone your mother trusted. My eyes widened. My mother? Lucas nodded miserably. She used my company as a way to move money, for the people she got involved with. Your father found out. He confronted her. And she panicked. Susan's voice broke. Maya, I wasn't doing anything illegal. I was just... Stop, the stranger snapped. You knew exactly what you were doing. Lucas ran a hand through his hair, the truth weighing him down. When your father threatened to expose everything, your mother begged me to help her buy time. To keep him quiet long enough for her to fix it. I felt my breath leave my lungs. Buy time? Lucas nodded, shame burning in his eyes. I convinced him to leave the state. I told him it wasn't safe for him here. I told him people were after him, and some were. His voice cracked. But I didn't know how deeply your mother was involved. I didn't know she would cut him off from you. Tears slid down my cheeks. You told him to run, I whispered. Yes, Lucas said softly. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. Because once he was gone, Susan shut every door. Every call. Every letter. Jenna stepped closer, voice trembling. And when Chloe discovered the money trail, your mother turned the threats toward her. She scared her into leaving Lucas. Chloe nodded painfully. She told me Lucas was part of the cover-up. I didn't know how much was his fault, and how much was hers. I panicked. I left to protect myself. I felt like the room was spinning. I looked at my mother who raised me, who told me she loved me, who said she always had my best intentions at heart. Mom, my voice broke. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? Her shoulders slumped. I was trying to protect you from a life of struggle. You were born into chaos, Maya. I wanted a controlled world for you. I wanted stability. I wanted a future I could guarantee. But you took away my choices, I whispered. You took away my father. You took away the truth. You built my entire life on lies. She collapsed into a chair, covering her face. I know, she choked. And I don't expect forgiveness. I just didn't want you to hate me. I turned to Lucas, my husband, who had kept his own shadows buried until tonight. You failed my father, I said quietly. And you failed me. His eyes glistened. I know. And I'm sorry, Maya. More than you'll ever understand. The stranger stepped forward, voice steady. You can still find your father, you know. He's alive. He's waiting. He left everything behind so you'd have a way to find him. My heart clenched. I looked at the box. At the letters. At the evidence of a life I was never allowed to know. Then I looked at the people around me, the lies, the betrayals, the regret pressed into every face. I'm done, I whispered. What do you mean? Lucas asked. I'm done choosing the life that other people designed for me. My voice steadied. I'm finding my father. I'm finding the truth. And none of you, not Lucas, not my mother, not anyone, gets to decide my future anymore. A stunned silence filled the room. For the first time in my entire life, I felt free. I walked to the door, the envelope in my hand, and said, this time I decide what happens next. And I stepped out, into the unknown, into the truth, into my own life. If Maya's journey moved you, make sure to subscribe and follow this channel for more life-changing stories. Your support helps us bring powerful, emotional narratives like this to life. Thank you for being here.